I couldn't bear to see my brother suffer, so I had to bite the bullet and comfort him. But later, clutching the back of my neck, I was grinding my teeth. "Leo Morgan, you said you'd only mark me once." He just gently took my hand, his voice a low, coaxing whisper. "SHH, I promise. This is the last time." Chapter 1. I leaped, and the basketball in my hands drew a perfect arc before sinking cleanly into the hoop. The ball hit the floor, and the entire court erupted in applause and cheers. "That was a beautiful three-pointer. Archer, you're a beast." As I came off the court for a break, my best bud, Kyle Miller, gave me a mischievous grin. "Julian, leave it to you to put on a show." That group of Omegas in the stands. They were screaming their lungs out for you. I just shrugged, casually pushing my sweat-soaked hair off my forehead. The new color, a smoky blue, was just as cocky as I wanted it to be. I was satisfied. Fiddling with the black stud in my ear, I offered a slice of humility. "Really, as a top-tier alpha who's 6 foot tall and has abs, I think it's just okay." My damp jersey was sticking to my skin, and it was getting uncomfortable. I was about to pull it off when a large, well-defined hand gently pressed down on the back of mine. "Julian, don't change out here." The voice behind me was deep and magnetic, tinged with a hint of exasperation. I raised an eyebrow, turning to throw an arm around the newcomer. "Leo Morgan, what are you doing here?" Whispers and muffled squeals of "President Morgan" drifted from the nearby bleachers. Leo let me mess around, his usually stern face softening slightly. He reached up and ruffled my blue hair. "My meeting just ended." I rushed right over. "Leo Morgan, my childhood friend of 18 years. The Archers and the Morgans have been family friends for generations. We grew up together, and I've been calling him bro since we were kids, and he really was like an older brother to me. He was composed and outstanding, while I was a walking disaster. If he hadn't kept me in line, I never would have made it into a top-tier school like H University. Now, he was the busy student council president, while I was happily coasting along on the basketball team. You have to show respect to your childhood friend." I grabbed Leo's hand and started pulling him toward the locker room, but something felt strange. The moment my skin touched his, I could tell his temperature was unusually high today. Chapter 2. The locker room was empty. The second I walked in, I yanked my jersey off over my head. I glanced in the mirror across the room. Yep, still in great shape. Long legs, narrow waist, abs, V-lines, the whole package. With the blue hair and the earring, I could debut as a pop star right now, no joke. When I turned around, Leo had averted his gaze, his expression unreadable. "President Morgan, getting shy on me." I grinned wickedly and closed in, pinning him against the wall. He was a good half a head taller than me, so I had to stand on my toes to not lose the power dynamic. "All right, I know you have an 8-pack, 2 more than me." With that, my hands had a mind of their own. I slipped them under the hem of Leo's shirt, planning to trail them up along his stomach. A flash of panic crossed Leo's eyes. He grabbed my hand, a note of warning in his tone. "Julian, stop messing around." The more he resisted, the more excited I got, rubbing against him like a big puppy. "We're both alphas, what's the big deal if I touch you a little?" Before I could even react, my wrists were seized, and I was spun around and slammed against the wall. Leo was incredibly strong. I couldn't break free. "Jules, get your pheromones under control." He sounded agitated, his hot breath fanning across the bare skin of my neck. Only then did I notice the rich scent of irises filling the air. Oh, I must have gotten worked up after the game and let my pheromones slip out by accident. I tried to push Leo away to grab a suppressant patch, but I realized something was very wrong with him. His body temperature was scorching, and his breathing was heavy and ragged. I sniffed the air and realized that mixed with my floral scent was the scent of his fur. "Is your susceptibility period here?" The realization dawned on me slowly. The man behind me didn't answer. Leo's voice was hoarse. "Your pheromones, they're so sweet, I want to bite." Wait, what was he doing? Goosebumps erupted all over my skin, and I started to struggle for real. "Leo, I'll get you a suppressant, just let." I never finished my sentence. A sharp pain shot through the back of my neck. It was Leo. He buried his head in my neck and bit down. His pheromones were pumped into me with brutal force. My eyes flew wide in disbelief. Then everything went black. Chapter 3. When I woke up, the sharp, stinging smell of antiseptic filled my nose. I stared blankly for a moment before I realized I was in the school infirmary. The back of my neck throbbed. The memories came flooding back me. A tough-as-nails alpha had been held down and had my neck bitten, and the culprit was my closest childhood friend. My eyes quickly found the guilty party sitting nearby. I grabbed him by the collar, my voice a low growl. Leo Morgan, were you that hungry? How dare you mark your own brother? With a creak, a doctor in a white coat pushed the door open. He was holding a report, and he smiled at me and Leo. Kiddos, I'd advise you not to provoke your friend any further. He might just bite you again. Your friend here, he's an enigma now. I froze, certain I'd misheard. An enigma. You mean that legendary fourth secondary gender that can even mark alphas? The doctor nodded. A small percentage of high-level alphas have an extremely rare chance of undergoing a secondary differentiation into an enigma after reaching adulthood. Your friend is in the middle of his enigma differentiation period. That, combined with your unusually high pheromone compatibility, caused him to lose control and mark you. As for you, don't worry too much. Enigma pheromones are incredibly potent. It's normal to pass out after being marked. The doctor pointed at Leo, his face full of approval. Your boyfriend. Ah, no, your friend's self-control is astounding. He managed to stop himself from going any further and carried you to the infirmary. If his off-the-charts pheromone levels hadn't triggered the campus-wide alarm system, we never would have noticed anything was wrong. So how is he? Is the differentiation affecting his health? I was more concerned about Leo. The doctor rubbed his chin, looking troubled. Well, the problem is, standard suppressants on the market aren't very effective on enigmas. If he can't properly regulate his pheromones during the differentiation period, it will definitely harm his body. Given your high compatibility, my suggestion is that you could help soothe him. How do I soothe him? I was completely lost. The doctor gave me a meaningful smile. You know, let him mark you, let him hold you. Any method that allows for a pheromone exchange will work. You guys are best buds, right? Should be easy enough. Huh, is that what you call best buds? Chapter 4. The school doctor left, leaving me to process the chaos. Leo sat by the hospital bed, his expression complex, lost in thought. After a long moment, he reached out and gently tucked the corner of my blanket in. His voice was low. Jules, does it hurt? I could see the pain and guilt in his eyes. Fine. I wanted to be angry, but I just couldn't. How could I, when this was the person I'd spent more than a decade with? So I patted Leo on the shoulder, trying my best to sound casual. It's fine. It wasn't your fault. It's just one bite. I'm not that fragile. Then I took a deep breath and decided to just go for it. It can't be helped. With our friendship, I have to take responsibility for you. During your differentiation, I'll take on the duty of soothing you, but Leo grabbed my wrist, his eyes filled with an unreadable emotion. Julian, soothing an enigma isn't that simple. His dry, warm hand moved to the back of my neck, gently stroking the bite mark on my scent gland. His voice was a little hoarse. If you're marked too many times, your body's chemistry will start to reverse. You'll become dependent on me. You'll crave my pheromones. Eventually, you'll become my exclusive Omega, unable to ever leave me. Leo's eyes were so deep. Being watched by him felt like being prey caught in a trap. A strange chill ran down my spine. I forced a dry laugh. Haha, it won't get that bad, right? So we just mark a little less often and it'll be fine. Leo ruffled my hair, a flicker of a smile finally appearing in his eyes, but his tone was tinged with bitterness. Jules, you really don't understand anything. Chapter 5. The news that Leo had differentiated into an enigma spread through H University in a matter of days. The moment class ended, Kyle Miller eagerly leaned over to ask me, "Holy crap, is it true? The legendary Leo really differentiated into an enigma." I gave a lazy MHM. That's insane. Wait, why are you being so nonchalant? Did you and Leo have a fight? Kyle studied my face. Usually, your eyes light up whenever his name comes up. I was getting annoyed. I pulled the hood of my sweatshirt over my head and started playing on my phone. All right, mind your own business. Kyle was right. Leo and I had fought. I hadn't spoken to him in days, not since I left the infirmary. I just couldn't figure it out. Here I was, an alpha, willing to swallow my pride and let him mark me, and he just hits me with a "you don't understand anything." What don't I understand? That a certain someone would rather suffer through it alone than accept his childhood friend's help. Is he planning on finding some soft, sweet-smelling Omega instead? The more I thought about it, the angrier I got. My pheromones started churning restlessly inside me, and I could barely contain them. I stood up with a dark expression, about to leave my seat to get a suppressant patch, when a skinny alpha with glasses blocked my way. What's wrong? Not hanging out with that monster today? Chapter 6. I thought I'd seen this guy before. His name was Hayden Smith, the candidate who lost to Leo in the student council presidential election. His tone was snide and irritating. Who are you calling a monster? I frowned. Leo Morgan, of course, Hayden said mockingly. Marking an alpha. It's disgusting, things like enigmas. They're just monsters. My face instantly darkened. I lunged forward and grabbed him by the collar. I dare you to say that again. Monster. Hayden didn't back down, continuing to spout his nonsense. Leo Morgan is a goddamn moan. He never finished the word because my fist connected squarely with his face. Hayden screamed as his glasses shattered. I didn't care. My pheromones exploded. My reason snapped. Kyle and the others couldn't hold me back. I was like a madman, pinning Hayden to the ground and hitting him with all my strength, punch after punch. Not until the crowd parted and I was pulled forcefully into a warm embrace. Jules, I'm here. SHH, it's okay, it's okay. The familiar scent of fur like velvet wrapped gently around me. Held tightly in his arms, I went completely limp. Chapter 7. Leo locked the door to the infirmary. Without a word, he picked up a cotton swab and antiseptic and started cleaning the wounds on my hand. I must have gotten cut by the shards of Hayden's glasses. The gashes looked pretty nasty. I kept my head down, not daring to look at him. I knew Leo had to be furious. Ever since we were kids, whenever I got into a fight and came back scraped up, his face would turn cold enough to freeze water. Why did you fight? Leo finally spoke, his tone flat. I turned my head away, not wanting to answer. So he reached out, cupped my chin, and applied gentle pressure, forcing me to meet his gaze. Julian talked to me. His brow was furrowed, his eyes like a deep lake with no bottom. I felt a surge of frustration. It was always like this. Whether it was about soothing him or about him being slandered, it felt like I was the only one who cared. A nameless fire ignited in my chest. I slapped his hand away. Would I have done this if he hadn't called you a monster? I'll fight if I want to fight. What's it to you? Besides, you're the one who said it, that I don't understand anything. My chest heaved. I realized I'd lost control again. Feeling ashamed, I reached out to push him away, but he pulled me into a hug instead. Chapter 8. Leo wrapped his arms around my waist and rested his head on my shoulder. When I was little, this was how he always comforted me when I was upset. All right, fine. When he holds me like this, I can't stay mad. Leo's voice was soft, but it held a strange trace of pain. Jules, please stop trying to protect me all the time. I don't want to keep drowning in this delusion. It's too painful, really. Delusion? What delusion? I let him hold me, feeling completely bewildered. The arms around my waist tightened, and I could feel Leo's voice trembling slightly. Jules, to you, who am I, that I could answer? I started counting on my fingers. Lots of things. You're my best friend, my brother. You're like family to me. Before I could finish, Leo cut me off. He lifted his head, a self-deprecating smile on his face. Julian, I regret it. My brain couldn't keep up. Leo hooked a finger into the collar of my shirt, his voice growing hoarse. I said, I regret it. Jules, your pheromones are too sweet. I want a bite. There was something churning in his eyes that I couldn't decipher. I felt a strange fear and wanted to run. But then I remembered it had been several days since he first marked me. There were no effective suppressants for an enigma's differentiation period. Leo must have been in agony these past few days. Leo was still waiting quietly for my reply. Okay, I'm a softie. I can't stand to see my brother suffer. I had to steel myself, swallowing my pride as I pulled open my collar. Fine, but make it gentle. Chapter 9. When Leo pinned me against the wall, I started to have second thoughts. The scent of fur was overwhelming, like a dense, inescapable net that made it hard to breathe. Strange. My heart was racing and my face was flushed. Was it because of our high pheromone compatibility? My mind was wandering and Leo didn't seem pleased. He gently pulled my collar aside, his voice deep. Julian, focus. The suppressant patch on my neck was torn off. The scent of irises instantly filled the air, tangling with the fur. A strange panic seized me, and I couldn't help but rush him. Leo, just hurry up. Before I could finish, a sharp cold pierced the back of my neck. Tears immediately streamed down my face. Damn it, this hurt way more than the first time I instinctively tried to struggle, but Leo held me firmly in his arms, trapping me. The fur scent invaded me more violently. In a daze, I felt like I was drowning in a bottomless forest of fir trees. I don't know how long it was before the marking finally ended. My vision went black and my legs gave out. I was about to collapse. Leo caught me with lightning speed. His arms wrapped tightly around me as he leaned in and chuckled softly in my ear. Jules, can an alpha's waist really be this soft? Chapter 10. In the school bathroom. I turned on the faucet and splashed cold water on my face hard. Useless. My face was still burning up. I glanced up. The person in the mirror was flushed an unnatural shade of red from his cheeks all the way down his neck. I couldn't look anymore. I cursed Leo over and over in my head. He bit me fine, but why did he have to say such ambiguous things? Your waist is soft, your whole family is soft, he acts so cool and aloof all the time. But it's all just an act, holy crap, did you get into a fight with Leo? A sudden voice from behind me made me jump. I turned to see Kyle. His eyes were wide as saucers. Why are you covered in Leo's scent? And what's with the bite mark on your neck? He looked heartbroken as he grabbed me and wailed. After President Morgan took you away, I looked everywhere for you. Julian, I was too late. A fight is a fight, but why did that jerk Leo have to bite you? I quickly clamped a hand over his mouth. Please keep your voice down. We didn't fight. We didn't fight, we made up. Kyle gave me an I knew it look. He said disdainfully, I told you so. Every time you two fight, it's like a couple of lovebirds. You always make up within 3 days. I guiltily pulled my collar up higher to cover the telltale mark. Kyle was easygoing and didn't press the issue. He took out his phone and sent me a group chat log. High school reunion tomorrow night, same old karaoke bar. You going? Before I could answer, he flashed a mysterious smile. I heard, Nina Taylor will be there too. For a moment I was stunned. Chapter 11, Nina Taylor. The Omega I had a crush on in high school. It was that awkward phase of puberty. We'd all just differentiated and didn't know anything, but we were all secretly curious about the opposite gender. I was no exception. Nina sat in front of me, and I just instinctively found the scent of her pheromones pleasant. Over time, a hazy crush developed, so I confessed to her. At first, she blushed and agreed. I was ecstatic. I went home and immediately told Leo the good news. He was silent for a long time. Finally, he just gently ruffled my hair, that same unreadable emotion in his eyes. He said, That's great, Jules. But the very next day, Nina came to me, her face pale. Julian, I don't think we're a good fit. Let's just forget it. And just like that, my first love came to an abrupt end. I went crying to Leo, but he seemed completely unfazed. For once, he let me get completely drunk, and I sobbed my heart out while hugging him. From that day on, I decided that the wise don't fall in love. Friends were better, love was for suckers. Chapter 12. I sent Leo a message asking if he was going to the class reunion. I hesitated for a second, then added a few more lines. I heard Nina will be there. Kinda awkward. Frustrated puppy gif. Even though Leo used to be our class president, I didn't think he'd agree to go. He was swamped with work and school, and he preferred quiet, hating noisy gatherings. But then my phone rang. It was Leo. His deep, pleasant voice came through the speaker, like a steady wind blowing through a forest of firs. Wait for me, I'll go with you. Chapter 13. When Leo and I showed up at the door of the private room, everyone inside turned to stare at us in unison. The girls and Omegas in the room were visibly excited. I didn't see Nina anywhere, which was a relief. Kyle was already lounging in a booth, drinking. He boasted loudly for everyone to hear. See, what did I tell you? If Julian shows up, the class president is sure to follow. Are all you Omegas happy now? 2 super handsome guys. The room erupted in laughter and whistles. I didn't mind. Our high school class was a tight-knit group. We were used to teasing each other. Leo sat down next to me in the booth and didn't stop me from ordering a drink. Normally, he wouldn't let me drink, but there were exceptions. Like after a breakup, or for a rare get-together like today. After a few rounds, the energy in the room was electric. Singing, rock, paper, scissors, and dice games, we were having a blast. Leo wasn't interested in joining in. He just sat quietly, watching me. Maybe it was getting stuffy in the room, because I saw him undo the top button of his shirt. He was leaning back in a very relaxed posture, his arm draped over the back of the sofa behind me. He held a bottle of beer, occasionally taking a casual sip. Damn, I had to admit, my childhood friend was ridiculously handsome. A handsome, cold kind of beautiful. Just sitting there, with the lights hitting him just right, his profile looked like a priceless classical painting. Maybe it was the alcohol going to my head, but I found myself staring. We were sitting so close, our thighs pressed together. The heat from his body seeped through the fabric of our clothes, a constant warmth against my skin. My mouth suddenly felt dry. My scent glands started to heat up and my head felt dizzy, like I had a fever. It was strange. Ever since Leo marked me, my dependence on him had skyrocketed, just like now. I wanted to lean in closer. I wanted to kiss him. Stop, 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 Julian. What the hell are you thinking? The thought scared me so much that I chugged a big mouthful of beer to calm down, which only made me choke and cough. Leo immediately sat up straight and gently rubbed my back to soothe me. it's over. The second he touched me, the urge to throw myself at him got even stronger. Panicking, I mumbled an excuse about needing the bathroom and fled. In the men's room, I desperately splashed cold water on my face. "Snap out of it, Julian, that's your brother." Water dripped from my hair. Just as I was feeling utterly frustrated, a familiar voice came from behind me. "Julian, long time no see." I froze. I turned around. Nina was smiling at me, a sweet smile. Chapter 14. In the hallway, my ex-crush and I stood in silence. The atmosphere was a little awkward. Finally, Nina was the one to speak. Her voice was as soft as I remembered. "The blue hair really suits you." "It's so cool, thanks," I said, rubbing my hair self-consciously. Leo said so too. The color instantly drained from Nina's face. She stammered for a moment, as if she had to summon all her courage. "Julian, there was a reason I rejected you back then." I thought she was still feeling guilty about what happened years ago, so I waved my hand dismissively. "It was a long time ago, it's okay." "No, Julian, I did like you." Nina sounded anxious, her words tumbling out. "I still like you now. I want to be with you, but I'm scared Leo came to see me back then." "Leo? What did Leo have to do with this?" I frowned, but Nina fell silent. She moved to stand behind me, her voice trembling. "You're next. Did Leo mark you?" Crap, I thought I covered it with a suppressant patch. Wait, how did she know it was Leo? Nina suddenly grabbed my arm, her voice urgent. "The news that Leo is an enigma is all over campus." "Julian, my sister works at the Secondary Gender Research Institute. She studies enigmas. Enigma pheromones are addictive a lot of the time. It's not your choice. Leo can lure you in with his pheromones." Wait, how did this conversation circle back to Leo again? As Nina got more agitated, her pheromones started to spill out. The scent of peaches. I used to like it, but now it just felt cloyingly sweet and made me feel sick. My head started spinning again and my breathing grew ragged. "Leo." I desperately wanted Leo's pheromones. Nina was still rambling on, which only made my headache worse. "Julian, you have to be careful of Leo. He's terrifying, and his intentions aren't pure. Do you remember that time you got drunk after I rejected you? I was going to find you, but I saw Leo holding you. He pulled open your collar. He was..." Nina's voice cut off abruptly. She stared in horror at something behind me. In a daze, I felt a hand on the back of my neck, its thumb rubbing small, subtle circles. It was the familiar scent of fur. I heard Leo's deep voice next to my ear, his tone icy. "Sorry, my Jules isn't feeling well. I'm taking him home." Chapter 15. This was no ordinary susceptibility period. A high fever, a foggy head, and the scent of irises so sweet it was terrifying. I don't even know how Leo got me into the car or how he carried me back to his place. All I knew was that I was clinging to his collar, my voice thick with tears. "Pheromones, I need your pheromones." Leo looked down at me, his hand covering the back of my neck, stroking it slowly, deliberately. His expression was calm, but a storm of intense emotion raged in his eyes. "Jules, an alpha that's been marked by an enigma enters a special period, similar to an omega's. SHH, it's okay. All you need is a little more of an enigma's pheromones, and it will get better." The scent of fur gently intertwined with the iris, like a secret invitation. He stared intently at me, his voice a soft whisper, like a hunter coaxing his soon-to-be-captured prey. "All you need is a kiss to get the pheromones." Chapter 16. I was woken up by the crisp chirping of birds outside the window. I groggily opened my eyes and found myself in Leo's bed. Oh, right, I wasn't feeling well last night, so he brought me home. And then what happened? I think I was clinging to Leo, begging for his pheromones, and then we kissed. Wait, what? I shot up in bed, the shock jolting me fully awake. Crap, I kissed my best friend. Smack. I slapped myself across the face. "Julian, you idiot, how could you lay a hand on your own brother?" I tiptoed out to the living room like a thief and saw that Leo was gone. He'd left a note. It basically said he'd called in sick for me at school, that he had to go back to handle some work, and that he'd be home later. I was relieved he wasn't here. My face was burning, and I had no idea how I was going to face him. I didn't even touch the breakfast he'd left on the table. I whipped out my phone and posted frantically for help online, panicking what do I do if I accidentally kissed my male childhood friend. The title must have been explosive, because an enthusiastic netizen sent me a private message almost immediately. "Spill, how accidental are we talking?" I clung to this person like a lifeline and quickly explained the whole story. They were silent for a long time before finally replying, "You sure this was an accident? And not your childhood friend's master plan? Any normal person would choose marking as the way to soothe someone. Kissing is way too damn intimate." Conclusion: I don't think your friend's feelings for you are purely platonic, dude. What? Were they questioning the 20 years of pure, brotherly love between me and Leo? I couldn't stand for it. My fingers flew across the keyboard as I listed out years of examples. How he would patiently pick out the green onions I hated from my ramen. How he would show up to every single one of my basketball games, rain or shine. How one time I said I missed him, and he immediately cut short a meeting at his company's overseas branch and booked the first flight back to see me. How all his passwords were my birthday and his phone's lock screen was a picture of me. How I couldn't finish because the other person cut me off and then promptly went offline. Enough. What do I look like, some kind of pathetic third wheel in your little game? Bro, if you're not here to just brag, then let me give you a piece of advice in any relationship. It's always the one who's being spoiled who thinks it's just friendship. Chapter 17. I stared at the user's grayed out avatar, feeling completely lost. The one who's being spoiled. I realized then that I had never seriously examined my relationship with Leo. What did Leo mean to me? He was the brother I depended on completely, my closest friend, a person I cherished more than anything. But what did he think? My heart suddenly started to race. I couldn't help but think back to last night. His deep breaths in my ear, the scorching heat of our shared air, the feeling of being crushed into his embrace. I saw his deep eyes, hiding emotions I could never quite grasp. A vague answer was bubbling up inside me, unsettling and on the verge of breaking through. Enough, I was scared. I didn't want to know. It wasn't that complicated. A childhood friend is a childhood friend. I must be overthinking things. I rubbed my face and looked down to see I was still wearing Leo's pajamas. They were a size too big for me. Someone had carefully rolled up the long sleeves and pant legs. The fabric still faintly smelled of fur. The crisp scent made my face flush and my heart pound even faster. No, I had to change. Now, Leo had bought this large apartment specifically because it was near the school. I crashed here so often that I had my own clothes in his walk-in closet. I rummaged through the closet, looking for one of my sweatshirts. As my hand reached deeper inside, it brushed against a yellowed notebook. It was Leo's diary. Chapter 18. I couldn't help but raise an eyebrow. Leo actually kept a diary. Curiosity won out over the unease in my heart. I opened it almost without thinking. Besides, what's a little secret between best friends? I was just taking an interest in his inner world. The first few pages were pretty normal. Jules lost his game today. He was in a bad mood, but he's easy to cheer up. I bought him ice cream and he was smiling again. Differentiated. Jules is an alpha. His pheromones are irises. They smell nice. Jules is always looking at the person in front of him, an Omega named Nina Taylor. Annoying. I read on with great interest, turning page after page, but the further I went, the stranger it got. The smooth, strong handwriting grew progressively messier. He's punching above his weight, thinks he can be with Jules. If he wants to stay at this school, he'll take this money and get lost. Jules is drunk. Does he really like him that much? I'm going crazy. I keep biting the back of his neck, but I can't mark him. Jules, you're so dense. Do you know what I do every night? I'm losing control. I want to hide you away. I want to make you cry. The handwriting was frantic. The last sentence was unfinished, and a large ink blot stained half the page. Jules, I love you so much I'm going insane. Chapter 19. I fled in a panic, not even bothering with the diary that had fallen to the floor. My mind was a chaotic mess. My phone was buzzing with dozens of missed calls, all from Leo. I knew he must have realized something was wrong. I couldn't face him, so I just went cold. My thoughts were a tangled knot. I desperately needed to talk to someone, anyone. So when Nina sent me a message asking if I wanted to meet, I agreed. Chapter 20. Nina chose a quiet bar for our meeting. My mind was racing. Nina, when did you realize something was off about him? She sighed and took a delicate sip of her drink. It was so obvious. He's such a cold person, but his eyes were always following you. Anyway, just stay away from Leo. He's not a good person. I didn't like hearing that. Please don't talk about him like that, I said, my tone serious. Nina put down her glass, her expression complicated. It's come to this and you're still defending him. Honestly, how do you really feel about Leo? She stared at me intently and her question made my heart race. Julian, are you in love with Leo? The words hit me like a physical blow. Thump, 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 thump. There was that frantic heartbeat again. I defensively grabbed the glass on the table and downed it in one go. The alcohol was strong and I felt the buzz immediately. I held my head in my hands, completely lost. I don't know, what was I thinking the moment I found that diary? I was scared, but not of Leo. I think I was scared of something inside myself, something that was about to take root and break through all the rules. It felt like for a long, long time, I'd had this strange, hazy feeling for Leo. I couldn't grasp it, couldn't define it, so I just buried it deep down. Now, Leo had torn down that wall, forcing me to confront this ambiguous emotion. But it was so painful, so terrifying, I just wanted to run. My head was splitting. I smelled the strong scent of peaches. It was Nina. She was releasing her pheromones at me. "Julian, if you're not sure, do you want to try being with me?" Nina leaned closer, her voice like a siren's call. "Maybe you'll prefer the feeling of being with an Omega." The peach scent was cloyingly sweet, making me dizzy. I don't like it. I missed Leo. I missed the feeling of being drowned in a forest of fur. Wait, I think I smell fur nearby. The moment before Nina's lips touched mine, I snapped out of my trance and pushed her away. My eyes shot up, and I saw a familiar figure standing just outside the bar's entrance. It was Leo. He was staring at me, a storm brewing in his dark eyes, but his lips curved into a bitter smile. Then he turned and disappeared into the night without a backward glance. Chapter 21. I quickly apologized to Nina and took off, running in the direction Leo had gone. The streets were crowded. I pushed my way through the pedestrians, but I couldn't seem to catch up to him. I was frantic. I wanted to scream his name, but my throat was so tight no sound would come out. All I could do was watch helplessly as he got further and further away, until he was swallowed by the endless sea of people. The moment Leo disappeared, the emotions I had suppressed for so long burst forth. Love, it was love. All those vague, hazy feelings were now crystal clear. I had never been so sure of anything in my life. I was in love with Leo, but it felt like it was too late. We might not even be able to be friends anymore. I stumbled away from the crowd in a daze and ducked into a hidden alley. Sliding down the wall, I buried my head in my arms. My heart ached so much the pain spread to my fingertips. I finally understood. My high school fling with Nina was just child's play. Real heartbreak makes it hard to even breathe. Tears started to fall, big, heavy drops. Damn it, this is so pathetic. An alpha crying in a corner over a broken heart. Chapter 22. I was in the middle of a full-blown meltdown when Leo knelt down and pulled me into his arms. He sighed softly. "Jules, I'm not even crying yet, and you've already started." I looked up, my vision blurred with tears. When I saw it was Leo, I started crying even harder. "Go away, why didn't you just keep walking? You didn't even look back. You didn't listen when I called. Why do you even care about me?" Leo gently wiped the tears from my face. How could I not care? What if a drunk little crybaby like you got lost for real? A wave of sadness washed over me. I looked at him with red-rimmed eyes. "Leo, can we still be friends?" He ruffled my hair, the exhaustion clear in his eyes. "Jules, just loving you takes every ounce of strength I have. Every day I have to fight to control myself, not to hurt you, not to force you, not to let the filthy thoughts from that diary become reality. Because I love you, and more than anything, I want you to be a free and happy alpha forever. But I honestly don't know how much longer I can hold on." Leo gave a bitter smile. "So do you think we can still be friends?" My heart started to twist in my chest. It was that same feeling of panic, of imminent loss. I suddenly remembered a long ago summer evening. Leo had ruffled my hair and said goodbye. The sky behind him was a canvas of sunset colors, and in that moment, I was overwhelmed with a powerful sense of reluctance and confusion. No more goodbyes. I hate goodbyes. I wasn't going to be a coward, doomed to spend the rest of my life regretting what I'd lost. So I grabbed him by the collar. "Why can't we be friends?" "A boyfriend is a kind of friend," and then I kissed him. Chapter 23. Crap, I regret everything. In Enigma's susceptibility period is ridiculously terrifying. I never should have provoked him. Leo has completely lost his mind, huddled in the corner of the bed. I clutched the back of my neck, grinding my teeth. "That's enough, you said you'd only mark me once." Leo kissed me reverently, his voice hoarse as he coaxed me. "SHH, I promise. This is really the last time." Chapter 24. My relationship with Leo went public thanks to a candid photo. The background was the tree-lined path next to the sports field. President Morgan had his arm wrapped around the waist of a blue-haired alpha. As if sensing the camera, his gaze was fixed on the lens, his eyes so cold they were chilling. The school forum exploded. A massive thread grew in minutes. "Holy crap, with that hair color, you can tell who it is from the back. President Morgan and Julian Archer from the basketball team. I give up. The two hottest Enigma alphas on campus are taken." This Omega is crying in the bathroom. Julian is famously wild. I wonder how the legendary Leo managed to tame him. Doge, that possessive look in President Morgan's eyes. Someone's going to have a rough night. Haha, childhood friends to lovers, shippers. Raise your flags, I'm so happy. The post was ridiculously popular, and my social media apps were blowing up with notifications. I stared at the endless stream of rose emojis and 99s in my group chats, my scalp tingling. Still don't want to make it public. Leo looked down at me, ruffling my hair. Should I contact the admins to delete the post? He said that, but I knew he'd hate to delete it. Ever since we got together, he'd been acting completely out of character, posting on his social media feed at least 3 times a day. Every caption mentioned his boyfriend, and the accompanying photos would always casually feature a sliver of my blue hair. He never left my side when we went out and would deliberately scent me with his pheromones. It got so bad that during one basketball game, my opponent started yelling at me, accusing me of showing off our relationship to mess with his focus. Honestly, the only reason I didn't want to go public at first was to avoid the hassle. There was no point in hiding it now. After a moment of hesitation, I decided to tell my family, too. When I called my mom, she was in Europe at a jewelry exhibition with Leo's mother. She sounded confused. Both our families thought you two started dating in high school. All right then. Over the phone, her voice shot up an octave. Make sure you use protection. Alphas can get pregnant. You know, I hung up so fast I nearly dropped the phone. Too late. I turned right into Leo's smiling eyes. A hand came to rest on my stomach, pressing down gently. He leaned in close, his lips brushing my ear as he whispered, I've been wondering, too, how many times will it take to get you pregnant? My face was on fire. I grabbed a pillow and threw it at him. But in the end, we just tumbled onto the bed together, sharing a long, lingering kiss. In a hazy bliss, I heard Leo's hoarse voice telling me he loved me, that he loved me so much he could die. Yeah, I love you too. We'll love each other, always and forever.